Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Dork Publishing, expanding minds through fantasy since 2018. Learn more at the Dork Publishing website, www.dorcpublishing.com.
I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Thank you for joining us today here on Desertwood Days, and I am your host, Kathy Blaze. Today we have a fabulous guest for you. This soulful singer, one of the queens of souls of Arizona, Miss Teri Tobin.
Well, thank you for that introduction, man.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for gracing my couch today.
Oh, it's an honor. It's an absolute honor.
You know I've been trying to get you for a while now.
I know, but I'm glad we finally can make this happen.
Yes, yes. For those of you that don't know Miss Teri, I have to say, she is, in my opinion, one of the queens of soul in Arizona. She has such a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. So, Miss Teri, we know you're a singer, performer. I want to know a little bit about the younger Teri. I like to start off there.
Okay. So I'm originally from Mesa. I left Arizona when I was young and moved to California, and that's kind of where I kind of started like singing in church choir. Well, I sang in church choirs early, but like a lot of different choirs and performed and auditioned for various things. And at the time, I never was like, oh, I'm absolutely going to be a singer, but it was just something that I always did. To the point where my grandmother still talks about the fact that I sang every single commercial, every single TV theme, everything, every opportunity I got. I just sang. I don't think I knew anything else. So I knew it was something that I did, but I didn't know that it was something I can do as a career. And then as a kid, I auditioned for this group called Children of the World.
Oh.
And so it was kind of like a kid's version of USA for Africa. And I'm dating myself, but it's okay. It's all right. So it was a kid's version where we had like the kid stars of the time, you know, Drew Barrymore and Rashawn Patterson and just various people that were in it. And that afforded me the opportunity to be selected to sing backgrounds for Jeffrey Osborne.
Wow.
And so he did this album where he had a song that was a tribute to Africa called Soweto. And that was my very first, like, oh my God, I can get paid to do this, you know? Prior to then, of course, it was always in the church, and I just did it because that's what my heart, you know, had me do. But after that, I was like, I'm sold. So
what was it like being this young girl singing with Jeff? Did you even know who he was back then?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, let me be clear. Like, I kind of lived and breathed music. And part of that was my mom, you know, the typical Saturday morning playing, you know, music when you had to clean up and that whole deal. So, but my mom always had music playing, and she's a big, huge music lover. So, of course, I knew who Jeffrey Osborne. As a matter of fact, I knew who LTD was. So for me, I'm like, oh my God, this is a man that I've been looking at the back of these albums all these years, reading all the liner notes. And the irony to that is when I went to the session, I believe it was at Lion Share, of course, I knew the names of the studios because I read all the liner notes. So I was more excited that I was getting to meet like the mix engineers, the names that I had seen on the liner notes than I was actually meeting Jeffrey. But I will say my experience with him kind of set the tone for me, because a lot of people get into the business and I don't know, you kind of get caught up in the fluff and caught up in the flashiness of it. And I won't say the name of another artist that I worked with that was a complete contrast to professionalism, that I was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that Jeffrey was the blueprint. Because even though he had fun with us and we laughed and joked and all that, it was serious, you know. It's on somebody's business. It's business. It was on somebody's time. We were in the studio, and I met his adult background singers, and to this day we've connected on Facebook. And it's just amazing that just that particular time in my life has stamped what it is for me and how I want people to feel when they come to my sessions.
Yeah.
You know, just I have fun, but it's about business.
Well, you know what, and I strongly believe, no matter what we are doing, it was given to us.
Absolutely.
And it was given to us to share and to teach and to pass it forward. And with that being said, that knowledge that you have, it's up to you to pass it on and teach the next young Terrys and young Jeffrey Osbornes and people like that, and to teach it to them the right way, the way you were taught.
Absolutely.
I mean, and you were like you said, you had that correct blueprint on how to move forward with your business.
Absolutely.
But it started before Jeffrey. It started in your household with your mom and your grandmother, and in the church. That's one thing we can't forget about.
Absolutely.
That's where it started from.
Absolutely.
And it's funny, as an Arizona native as I am, we all had that same Saturday morning ritual, didn't we?
Honey, I don't think it's just Arizona. I think everybody had the parent or the mom. My case,
Saturday,
my mom,
get up and let's
morning,
clean up.
When the music came on Saturday morning, you knew that you could not sleep any longer, and it was time to get up.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. But you know what? I tell you one thing. Thank God for a dryer, because I have to say, even though we had a dryer in the house, my grandmother, I don't know what it was about her. She wanted her clothes hung out on the line. So 150 degrees heat out in Arizona. We had to go I'm exaggerating. Hang out clothes on the line. It felt like 150 degrees.
Oh my God. But you know what's funny about that is, my grandmother had a line, in her backyard too. And as a kid, I was excited. Like, I felt like that was a rite of passage. Like, I had to be able to, when I got to hang towels on the line, I thought I was really doing something. Ask me to do that now, you could forget about it. I don't know how we survived the summers like that, but I was excited about being out there.
I do not know.
It's crazy.
You were a better child than I was. You know what? And in our household, you weren't just hanging up your own clothes. You were hanging up everybody's clothes. You were doing what had to be done.
Well, I was an only child, though, so I think I was just looking for something to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was an only child, and I was around adults a lot, and I, obviously I admired my grandmother and anything that she did, and my great grandmother.
I know.
So I was just like, okay, well, I get a turn to do that. Ask me now.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like folding my own clothes, let alone
we're the same boat.
Putting them on the line.
We're the same boat. I lived with my grandmother, so and I feel like I used to be told I have an old soul.
Yes.
And I said, well, I was raised by old people. No?
Absolutely. I mean,
raised with the wolves. No.
I feel like that's a blessing, though. Yeah. That I think sometimes this generation, they miss it. That we had the opportunity of being around our elders and learning so much from them.
And they're missing out on a lot.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to you in your business as a musician, a singer, that you had that background from your parents, and they steered you.
Absolutely.
I mean, you weren't just out there running from place to place doing. You had that blueprint from the beginning with your family and in the church. So we have young Teri. So you were played with Jeffrey. What happened with Miss Teri after Jeffrey Osborne? Where did you go from there?
So from there, I was still in that group. We got to travel abroad. We performed at various places. I got a taste of what it was like to, again, work with top-notch people. It wasn't until later in life that I realized when Children of the World, we recorded our songs, George Duke was the producer. As a kid, I'd heard the name, but I didn't know what kind of royalty I was dealing with. So again, another example of just being around like top-notch musicianship. And so anyway, fast forward, I was a typical kid. Let's see, I didn't necessarily, I was always trying, I don't want to say I was always trying to get a deal, but after a while I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Let's figure out what we want to do. So at the time I was 17, I got my first manager, and I was also in a group, an R&B rap group. simply raw. Couldn't
Okay.
tell us nothing. I was the baby of the group though. I was
Oh,
17, and the rest were like in their 20s. We signed the deal. Was super excited. I was just sharing this story this morning. The downside of that is kind of going back to knowing your business and knowing
right.
what you're getting yourself into. I had an attorney. We had an attorney look at our contracts, but I thought, oh well, she read it, so I don't really need to read it. I don't really need to know what's going on in this thing, right?
Right.
So fast forward, uh, come to find out, I had signed my life away,
Wow.
not even knowing. Not to mention, I was 17 at the time, so technically, I shouldn't have been signing.
Right, because you were underage.
I was a minor.
Yes.
But anyway, it happened, and it took many years later for me to get an attorney to get me out of the deal because essentially the way the contracts were running back then, they owned you. No matter what you did, you write a book, you anything, they owned you, and so that's just what the contracts were.
And that's how they get young people.
Absolutely.
And that's why, again, this is a business.
Absolutely.
And as a 17-year-old, you thought you were doing right. You had a lawyer and you were
Absolutely.
had them look it over, but still there's things that a young 17-year-old.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And part of that is just not. I think part of why I overlooked some of it is because some of the terminology I didn't understand.
Right.
So I'm like, oh well, she read it and she says it's cool. But like when people ask me, what would I share with someone who is younger and trying to get in the business? My main thing is, if you have to, and you want to study music or you want to be a musician or a producer, I still say either get a business degree or learn what the legal terminology is in the contracts that you sign.
Right.
Because granted, you are going to get an attorney and they're going to look it over, but you need to know exactly what they're agreeing to on your behalf.
And that's the point, is that I keep going back to the business part, is that a lot of times people are so focused on the music.
Absolutely.
And singing and dancing and what they're going to wear, they forget about this whole big old piece over here that's so much bigger than this part right here.
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Teri, how would you describe your style of music?
So at the root of it, it's soul music, and the reason I choose soul over R&B, even though that's how it's categorized, if you go to buy it, is because no matter what genre I sing, whether it's house music, whether it's gospel, whether it's country, even I have country songs, I'm still a soul singer, and you're going to hear the soul in me, regardless of what genre it is. So that's kind of why I say it's soul music.
You know what? I love the word, using the term soul, because it comes from your soul.
Absolutely. Absolutely does.
As a creative, where do you pull from?
Lately it's been very tough with everything that's going on, but a lot of times, there's some songs that I write, they're about real life situations. And I kind of thrived on that early on in my career. But initially, when I first started writing music, I kind of used my imagination, to be quite honest. My first album, Love Infinity, was nothing but love songs. And only one of them was kind of about a relationship gone wrong, so to speak. But all of them were about love songs and all the love I wanted to see in my life. And so it was more about what I wanted to put out into the universe, more so than just singing about love, if that makes sense. Because I do believe everything you put out, you get back. So and there's enough artists out there that do all the heartbreak songs, not the sad, because I do have those too. But I wanted to be able to put out more love, and especially, with the images that I put out, I want to show Black love, especially because there's not enough, enough videos that show us loving each other.
Enough positive Black love, right?
Absolutely.
So you bought some music for us.
I did.
So I'm excited. Let's take a look at it.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You turned down that number for that cutie pie.
Listen, the reason that people don't always understand the thought behind the video, but I really wanted to showcase that even in the midst of everything that's going on in my day, the only thing I have on my mind is my man at home.
Yeah.
That was the image that I wanted to put out there. But listen, it was tempting. But he wanted me to do. No. It's okay. It's okay.
Beautiful
Thank
song,
you.
and I love what you're putting out there.
Thank you so much.
Because we need to, with everything that's going on in our world, we need to see more love in the world.
Absolutely.
We really do. So Teri, what's going on new with you? We've spoken about the young Teri, what you've done in the past. What's current with Teri?
So I've been working on my upcoming album, which is called Forever, and I joke that initially when I started writing or coming up with the title of the album, it was because I wanted to make sure that whatever I put out was what was going to be my stamp forever. It turns out that the reason it's called Forever now is because it's taking me forever to finish it, but that's a whole other conversation. But I do have an upcoming single from it that is called The One, and it's actually a cover song of Roberta Flack.
Oh, okay.
And so, Roberta and Donny Hathaway, of course, are my two favorites. I have a lot of favorites, but Donny especially. And Donny and Roberta, though, are the reason that I attended Howard University, because I saw that they did, and I read the stories of their life as up and coming artists, and I just kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. So the song is called The One.
That shows the passion that you had
absolutely.
in your field right there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When I just talking about Donny, and you were talking about my childhood, it probably wasn't like most kids, because I would listen to albums for hours and listen to Donny singing about love that I knew nothing about, but the way that he delivered it made you feel it.
Right.
And that's when I said, I want people to feel when I'm singing it. Right. And so that is probably the one thing as a child I did say, like, I didn't know if it was ever going to be on a stage anywhere, but I wanted to make sure that.
You know what, and that is so weird that you say that, and it must be because you being an only child, being with your mom and your grandmother, and me being a child being raised by my grandmother.
Sure.
I listen to a lot of older music, and I can't say just because my mother too listened to a lot of those songs, so I can say that I feel strange now, like I was this young person listening to these songs that were old, that the older people listened to. So when I would mention it, people my age would look at me like I was weird or something.
Exactly.
So congratulations on your new single coming out. That's awesome. Do you have any shows coming up or any new productions that we can look forward to?
So I'm working on some shows. Not a lot in Arizona just yet, but I'm looking to do something in Arizona. I want it to be right though. So I'm looking for the right venue for that. I am doing some shows on the East Coast coming up this fall. And just looking to do more, I'm just getting back into it, COVID kind of set us back a little bit. So I'm just kind of getting my flow back.
Yes.
So.
You were dormant, but you weren't gone.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I heard that we're doing this game this week called Two Truths, One Lie. So you're playing the game with us today.
Are you ready?
Yes, I guess I am.
Okay. So number 1 is I served food to a queen. Number 2 is I danced with a king. And number 3 is I sang for a queen.
Oh, Lord. Can I look at that again?
Of course.
I served food to a queen. I danced with a king. I sang for a queen. Ooh, that could be all 3. I'm going to say that you, the 2 truths are that you danced with a king and you sang for a queen. And I'm going to say the lie is you served food to a queen.
Actually, no. I served food to the Queen of Soul, Franklin.
Lord.
I did not dance with the king. I danced with Jamie Foxx, but he doesn't count.
Okay.
And then what's the third one? I sang for a queen. I sang for Queen Noor in Jordan when I was with Children of the World.
I got one right.
Hey, you were close.
Yes.
I figured the singing one would be easy because people were like, oh, well, yeah, she sings. So, yeah.
And you know what? I just figured you danced with the king.
Honey, we're putting that in. We're going to manifest that one.
Danced with the king. Oh my gosh. Those were some good. That was a hard one. You know what? Because I could see all 3 of those being the truth. When I think of serving food to a queen, that could be serving food to your mom, your grandma.
Absolutely.
Or, your friends, girlfriends. So,
yes.
So they could have all been 3 truths.
Yes.
And she's dancing with a king out there. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today. So where can our audience find you?
So on Instagram, you can find me at Teri Tobin Music. Facebook, it's the same thing, Teri Tobin, TeriTobin. I have a website, teritobin.com. And music-wise, you can find me on Apple Music, basically where all digital music is sold, and on streaming sites, and of course on my website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we look forward to your single coming out. And
Yes,
again, give
ma'am.
us the name again.
It's called The One.
The One.
Yes.
Get ready.
It's a little sexy, but I think we're grown.
Yes, we are. We're going to dance for the king.
That's right.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you
Such
so
a
much.
pleasure. Thank you for joining us today here at Desertwood Days, and we will catch you next time.
Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze was sponsored by Dork Publishing. Visit them at dorkpublishing.com.